Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's presentation of Who Will You Be in Retirement? Many of our past presentations have focused on the financial aspects of retirement, but in our efforts to help you to lead not just a financially secure retirement, but also a happy retirement, we are making opportunities to focus on the emotional aspects of this major change in your life. We're very excited to welcome Candy Spitz today to lead you through this interactive workshop, which will help you to design your future with intent rather than by default. Over the course of her workshop, Candy will be asking some questions and also asking for your participation. If you would like to participate, you can click on the hand icon in your control panel to raise your hand, and that way I'll be able to unmute you so that everybody can benefit from your insights. Candy Spitz is a career and life coach who specializes in helping people at midlife design transitions aligned with their values and passions so they can live with no regrets. As a pioneer and leader in both the positive aging and life planning movements, Candy lives her passion, helping people discover their authentic paths. Candy also knows about reinvention. After 30 years as a licensed psychotherapist and educator, she retired, retrained, and opened her business as a coach. Candy also teaches at the college and community levels and writes a monthly blog for the public and professionals entitled Way to Go. So without any further ado, I will turn this over to Candy.
Thank you, Howard, and thank you for being here. I'm so pleased that you are interested in this topic of life planning. So I want to start out by you picturing your favorite mountain. One way to view your life is as if you are going up a mountain. You start out in the valley and gradually build your life portfolio by gathering relationships, friendships, family, work experiences, material goods, achievements, skills, interests, spiritual beliefs, roles, titles, knowledge, responsibilities, and community. You forge ahead step by step. Sometimes the climb is rocky, sometimes it's smooth, sometimes it rains, sometimes it's sunny. Sometimes you are alone, and sometimes you are with others. At times you may feel like giving up, and other times you feel you have all the energy you need. And one day you will reach the top of the mountain and look back and see where you've come from. That top used to represent retirement for many people, and then those people went down the mountain and withdrew. Today the top is just one peak you reach. When you get there, you look out at the expanse ahead and see more peaks to climb. In fact, those peaks are calling you to climb them, and you feel in good enough shape physically, mentally, emotionally to heed that call. Today's retirement is not necessarily an end of work like the old model. It can be a new beginning. The old dream of freedom from working has become the dream of freedom to be engaged in life on your own terms. Whether it's following your interests, contributing to the community, working part-time or temporary or seasonally, or starting your own business, or just learning new things. In fact, evidence is showing that after you have surpassed many of life's big landmarks and accomplishments, your satisfaction and happiness peaks. Gallup polls show 85-year-olds are more satisfied than 18-year-olds. Happiness is a U curve. It peaks in young adulthood, hits a low point during your late 40s and 50s, and then increases into later life. We are learning that well-being and longevity require some simple ingredients: a tribe of people who are important to you, a purpose or way to contribute to society, a plant-based Mediterranean-like diet, and a practice of moving during your day. Poet David White says, "We spend the first half of our lives learning what we love. We should find a way to do those things in the second." So that's what we're here for, finding out what those things are. Today you will walk away with 3 types of information. 1, regarding your strengths, 2, your values, and 3, your interests. This self-discovery will help you create a next chapter that reflects an authentic you. Together, we'll start on the road to uncovering this information in order to create your lifestyle and livelihood portfolio. So I want you to turn to your first handout, which is entitled, "Who Am I?" If you didn't receive the handout, it will be posted on the website later, and you can also request getting the handout by email. So I encourage you to use this "Who Am I? Putting it all together" handout as your living document. Add to it during this class when you come up with information about yourself, and later as you learn more about who you are and who you want to be. We're going to do a poll. This is the first of a few polls, and the question is, do you consider yourself to be in some kind of transition? And you can either click on yes or no with your computer. So here we find 85% of you consider yourself in transition, which is great. That's why you're here. And 15% of you are not in transition, but you probably will be later on. The second poll question is, are you retired? Choose either yes or no. Okay, this is great. So 14% of you consider yourselves retired, 86% consider yourselves not retired. And I hope that means that you're using this time while you're still engaged in your main career to plan what happens next. So let's begin our work together by you coming up with an intention about what you want to get out of this class, what you want to get out of our time together. So my question is, why are you here? What do you want to take away from our work together today? And someone share with us why they're here, what they're looking for. So click on the hand to raise your hand, and Howard will call on you. Who wants to share why they're here today, what they're looking for, what questions they have?
Carmen, your line is open.
I can't hear her.
All right, skip it, go. Skip it, go.
Okay. So we're not hearing Carmen. We'll go on. Leonard Sweet tells us the future is not something we enter, it's something we create. It's just as important to plan your lifestyle, which is how you want to live your life, and your livelihood, how you want to work, as planning your financials. Financial planning is essential to achieve a state of money maturity. I believe financial knowledge and security are one of the two foundations necessary to create a life that meets your needs. The second foundation is good health, both physical, mental, and spiritual. So we found out that most of you are in transition and change. Each of us have been through many kinds of transitions in our lives, and many more lie ahead. The good news is each of you have experience with negotiating transitions. One way to look at a transition is to call it a creative dilemma. A creative dilemma is the difference between where you are and where you want to be. We can experience creative dilemmas in terms of work, or health, or relationships, or learning, or wealth. For example, I had a creative dilemma at age 55 when I wanted to change careers. And at that time, I figured out my financials, I figured out when I could retire, and I started to go back to school to become a coach. So planning your future at any point is really valuable. Think about how you would describe your current creative dilemma or transition, and write that down on your Who Am I sheet under My Transition. It may be planning retirement, it may be career changing, maybe deciding where to live, beginning an exercise regimen, deciding whether to take classes. Joseph Campbell tells us, midlife is when you get to the top of the ladder and discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. It's really common for us to know what we don't want, but not know what we want, according to Abraham Maslow, the father of hierarchy of needs. To find your unique answers about what you want, it's often necessary to get quiet, bring up a blank slate, and listen for what comes up from within. My clients and students often say, Candy, I want you to tell me what to do next. I want you to give me the answers. In the spirit of full disclosure, I can't do that. This work is an inside job, but there are tons of resources to help you. So this is your time of life to ask yourself questions, go on a journey, become curious. The answers and directions don't come immediately. Instead, look at this as a process. One vital question that people ask is, what would be unlived if you died right now? Many people die with unexpressed voices in their hearts. We often don't realize who we are meant to be because we are busy trying to live out society's or our family's goals. For our time together, allow yourself permission to become aware of what's most important to you. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly changing, that is constantly trying to make you something else, is the greatest accomplishment. Even if you don't have a clear vision of what you want next, the good news is due to the longevity revolution, you probably have many years ahead of you to discover it. We have gained 30 years of life expectancy in the 20th century. In 1900, Americans lived to an average age of 47. Today, the average age is 79, 30 plus years, and rising. A 60-year-old today has a life expectancy of 81.6 years. In addition, most people, even after their first retirement, or volunteer work. In addition, most people, even after their first retirement, want to continue working in some way, whether contributing by paid or volunteer work, but definitely working on their own terms. 72% of pre-retirees over 50 say their ideal retirement will include working. So work in retirement will become increasingly commonplace. It will become the fourth leg of our resources stool for retirement. We'll have Social Security, our pensions, savings, and possibly part-time work. So you do the math. How many years do you have ahead of you? Think about how you're going to spend them. So I'd like you to look at your second handout, the Lifeline, and on the left-hand side of the line, put your birth date, when you were born, and somewhere along the line, draw a hash mark for today's date, October 29th, 2015. Estimate how long you've come through your life. Are you halfway there? Are you 1/3? Are you 2/3? Mark today's date. Our first piece of information gathering is on your strengths. Using your personal strengths to solve problems, to design what's next, makes the work easier. So we're going to start with strength spotting. And I want you to look at your timeline. Think of times in your life when you were operating at your best. These are times when you were really operating on all cylinders. You were jazzed, life was energizing, you were having peak experiences. These may be times when you were in a job, in a relationship, had a special role, had a accomplishment. Maybe you were at your best in a hobby or when you achieved a goal. Think of one or two of these times when you were at your best and mark them on your lifeline. Now imagine that you are a fly on the wall. Spot the strengths you demonstrated during that time of life. They could be strengths like perseverance, curiosity, humor, bravery, creativity, leadership, hope, love of learning, teamwork, or other strengths that you think of. Note these on your sheet, as well as add others that you know that you are aware of using, your strengths. Can I do an example? Can I ask a question? So, how was that? What did you learn about yourself? I'd like a volunteer to share with us what strengths they came up with. And again, just raise your hand by clicking on the hand signal.
Hi, Steve. I've gone ahead and unmuted your line. Would you like to share? Steve?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I had them speakers as strength I always look at perseverance as Candy had mentioned before, and the one I was always like, educational accomplishments, whether for myself and my kids as it is, and trying to get those. Right now I do have a daughter in vet school as it is, trying to get her and get there, and I did finish a master's many years ago type stuff, but I always work on IT certifications lately. But when you look when you get older into the retirement ages, but the IT industry is very hard to try and keep up in those. So persevering to try and keep up with technology is always an interesting challenge as it is. So,
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Perseverance is such an essential strength to have for all of us to accomplish our goals. And I want to share on the handout that I've given you on resources. If you all are interested in learning more about your strengths, there's a free assessment that I've included online. But continuing to use these strengths is really important in accomplishing whatever goals.
Sorry, Katie. When you said creative dilemma, we also have in terms of our children maturing and standing on their own as it is type stuff. So I mean, whereas my daughter's in vet school and I'm in my late 50s and that stuff, and my son's in his late 20s, and I just lost a job here recently, and I kind of go, well, do I want him out of the house? And I go, he can help pay with the finances type stuff, but I would like him to go too, you know. So you're kind of stuck between both worlds as it is type stuff. So.
Absolutely. I like to, when I do my timeline, I look at those years between 30 and 60 as a very, very busy time with responsibilities, raising children, working on careers, accumulating security. Those are really difficult years. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Thank you. So why do we look at our past to plan your future? From our experiences come clues as to what we're interested in and what we're not interested in, what we're talented at and what we're not talented at, what touches our hearts and not, what motivates us. So always look, when you look back on your life, look for energy or emotion sensors, times when you were really, really engaged, because what was going on then is going to give you clues to what makes you become your best. people ask me, can't you give me a test that tells me what I'm good at, what I should do next? Yes, we do have those assessments, and usually we use them with high school kids, college-age people. But I believe the beauty of living a rich, filled life into one's 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s is that we have tons of information on what we like, what we don't like, our strengths, and our areas that need development. I believe we are better informed from our history than a standardized test. All of this information helps you come up with ideas of what is essential in your lives and what you can leave behind. We don't have to repeat things that haven't worked. You have 10 to 20 plus bonus years with a multitude of options on how to use them. Planning for them now, rather than seeing what comes up, ensures a life portfolio more authentically designed just for you. So we have another poll. So, this is a multiple choice. Do you find this time of your life, where you are right now, either exciting or confusing or scary? Pick one of them. Interesting, interesting. So most of you find this time of life exciting, which is really good news. I think the more that we can be curious, we can be, come at life with a full heart, the more we're going to come up with answers and reach our goals. Confusing? Absolutely, it's confusing. This is a messy time. We don't know the answers. Scary? Also, there's a lot of uncertainty in life, and I think something to keep in mind is controlling the things you can control. There are lots of things that are not under our control, but if we do a good job of controlling what we can impact, we'll come out ahead. Jerry Gillis tells us, you will recognize your own path when you come an imagination you will ever need. Maybe I'll repeat that again. You will recognize your own path when you come upon it, because you will suddenly have all the energy and imagination you will ever need. One thing that we know for sure that becomes more important as we age is meaning and purpose. Ambition, material accumulation seem to fade, and making a difference or leaving a legacy take over as our priorities. Our second piece of information gathering is on your values. Your core values may include hard work, family, religion, loyalty, health, financial security, power, fame, friendship, wisdom, freedom, happiness, independence, knowledge. What are some examples? I want you to put on your sheet your top 2 or 3 values. Write them down on your sheet. Who am I? Who wants to share? Who wants to share 1 or 2 values that are important to them? Raise your hand by clicking the hand sign.
Financial security and independence are the most important for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. As I said before, Joyce, I think having financial security is one of the two foundations of having choices in your life. And I think it's never too early for any of us to start building our financial security. I'm hearing that they're going to be teaching courses or requiring courses in high school for kids to learn good money tools and practices. So, and independence, I think most of us say that we don't want to be dependent on our families as we get older. We have a much easier time being independent than dependent. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for sharing. So we use our values to guide us in our decision making and our designing of what's next. They help us choose our priorities. So for example, if your value is family and you're working 60 hours a week and traveling a lot and not seeing your family much, what needs to be changed so that you can be living your values. Here's a quote from Steve Jobs, and we all know the track of his life. He said, "If today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today?" And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. I think that's a great question we can all ask ourselves. So our third area of information gathering is discovering what are your interests and passions. Sometimes people say to me, I don't have any passions. You know, what's a passion? A passion seems so huge. But another way of describing a passion is something that you're really interested in, something you enjoy, something you gravitate. How do you spend your free time? I'm sorry if we're cutting in and out. We're doing our best here. Passion and purpose are linked in that when you are engaged in something you feel passionate about, time flies. You are in flow. It doesn't feel like work. Also, when you are doing something that has meaning for others, a glow comes around you like nothing else matters. You are using your gifts for the greater good. Howard Thurman says, don't ask what the world needs, but ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have become is the sentence completion page. And I had the top 4 questions. When I have free time, I like to complete the sentence. I want to learn more about. It's never too late for me to. If I were 5 times more courageous, I'd. So who wants to share one of their answers to these top 4 questions I have on here? And feel free to raise your hand.
All right, Steve, you're on with Candy.
You know, if I was 5 times more courageous, I'd bicycle across country. There's some open spaces that are a long ways, there's nobody around. But I enjoy cycling quite a bit. But I know people in their 60s who have done it.
So that kind of hobby, having cycling, meets so many different needs. It helps our endorphins in our brain. It helps our heart. It helps us learn about other things. It gets us outdoors. Andrew Weil tells us that a lot of us are suffering from nature deficient disorder. We're not outside enough, and we're not out in the light enough. So that's a great hobby.
I tell people I bicycle for 4 reasons: psychological, physiological, ecological, and economical.
Thank you. So as you answer these questions for yourself, notice if there's a theme. Notice if there's a thread. Usually in life, certain things show up, like you enjoy traveling, or you enjoy learning, or you enjoy working with your hands. Look for that personal thread. We have a next poll. Can you identify 1 or 2 interests that give meaning and pleasure to your life? Yes or no? Oh my gosh, 100%. So this is great news that you have things that you know are great for you, and then the trick becomes making time to do them. And often one of the biggest tools that helps us is, in order to make time for things that are important, we have to let go of other things. It's okay to let go of some things so that you can make room for new and for things you enjoy. So I want you to take your unique information that we've gathered on your strengths, your values, and your interests, and I would like everybody to write one next action step, either for your personal life or professional life. And this could make this step small enough and attractive enough that you will do it. It could be something like Googling classes on photography, or interviewing somebody who is an expert in a field that interests you, or beginning a regular exercise regimen. Write your next step. When you leave here, what will you do? So I'd love to have somebody share their next step. By doing so, it increases your likelihood of completing it. And this is accountability. When you tell people what to carry it out. The same thing with writing it down. Studies have shown that people who write down their goals are more likely to accomplish them. People who tell somebody about it, say it out loud, proclaim it, you're more likely to do it. So who wants to share their next step?
Hi, Cindy. Your line is unmuted.
Hi, can you hear me?
We
Hi,
can.
Cindy. Yes, yeah.
So we just recently moved to a out of state to a new community, and so my next steps have been, having worked in a nonprofit world, is to check out some of the local nonprofits here to see what kind of services they offer, what kind of support they might need, to see if my skills, either through volunteer or paid, might be able to fit into to their service.
Wonderful, wonderful next step, Cindy. Good luck with that. And you know, a lot of people start as volunteers with organizations or serve on boards, and I've heard many stories of people then getting hired, or you certainly, you know, use that as a way to demonstrate experience and also a way to impact issues that you care about. So good luck with that. Good luck with that. Thank you. So in terms of a next step, there's no right or wrong answer here, just a willingness to try things that interest you. We don't know what we like until we try it on. Remember when we were young and our parents put us in different activities, or we took electives in school? That was all to figure out what we liked and what we didn't like. So at this time of life, you might return to an interest you left behind when life's responsibilities took over. Just make a tiny shift in a direction that is calling you. I'd like you to take the data you've uncovered today, your strengths, your values, your passions, and use it to guide you in the direction of your second half of life. Clarify, commit, and receive support on what's next for you. This is not a linear process. It can be messy. This can be a fluid time of preparation, implementation, on, and discarding. My greatest wish for you is to have greater compassion and understanding of yourself and to use your own voice. And you don't have to do this alone, and you don't have to do it all at once. Just bits and pieces. Have fun with it. Ease into it. Life is like a puzzle. Puzzle it out. Some people establish their own peer advisory board that is made up of friends, colleagues, family, people that you can discuss possibilities and plans, you can brainstorm. Other resources are books, courses in person and online, life coaches, conversations with peers, journaling. I've included a resource list. My website has blogs and resources. I would be happy to offer a complimentary coaching consultation. Just contact me and we'll have a phone call and we can talk about what you're thinking about and how coaching might help you with that. Joseph Campbell tells us that the privilege of a lifetime is being who you are. So in conclusion, I want to give you some homework. Like every good teacher, you have to have homework. I ask that you spend 20 minutes alone this week envisioning what you will do in your next chapter, who you will become. I want you to think about what you don't want to miss. You can write it down, sketch it out. You can make a vision board or a collage or a life puzzle. But start something now, or it will fall to the law of diminishing importance. You will never get this day back. Face your future dreams and reach beyond your grasp. Make plans and goals slightly beyond your fingertips, not too easy and not too hard. Catherine Ryan Hyde says, I keep telling you the future isn't set in stone. It's not all decided yet. The future is just what's down the road we decided to walk on today. You can change roads anytime, and that changes where you end up. Ann Landers said, inside every 70-year-old is a 35-year-old asking, what happened? This is a time where people can share any questions, comments. What are your takeaways from this discussion today? What struck you? And raise your hand, and we'll call on you.
Hi, Marianne.
Hello.
Hi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to raise my hand and say there's no voice. I can't hear anything. It's like it keeps on going in and out.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I have no idea why that's happening. Must be problems with the technology. Love it when it works, but sometimes it's not so great. But thank you very much, Marianne.
Right.
I appreciate your participation.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a question or a comment or a takeaway?
Does anybody else have any questions? Anybody questions, commentaries, takeaways? Hi, Cindy.
Hi, I think the biggest thing for me, we just made a pretty big move, is allowing time for things to happen. I tend to be one that likes to have everything done quickly, and so that's, I think the biggest thing for me is that things will evolve, and I have to be patient and let those things occur as we go through, getting reestablished in a new community and looking for those passions and things that we enjoy doing.
Absolutely. Those are words of wisdom. Patience, time. We can all take those to heart. Good luck with your...
Yeah, and not having to control it all the time.
Right. Letting go of control, right? I think what I've learned since I, I retired at 59 and started this new business as a coach, and I'm 68 now, and what I've learned is every year has been different and special, and opportunities float by like clouds, and I kind of pull a cloud down and see, examine it, decide if I want to do something with it, and it's a very different time of life than being in a full-time job that you've been doing for 10 or 20 years. So good luck to you. Other comments, questions? Takeaways?
No.
So thank you very much. This has been my pleasure to be with you, and I wish you a very, very meaningful journey ahead. And thank you, Howard, for making this possible.
You're welcome, Candy. Thank you very much for talking to our folks today and helping us to lead that fulfilling next phase of our lives. Again, I apologize for some of the technology challenges. But again, thank you all very much for taking some time out of your day and spending it with us. I hope that you found this information beneficial and that it will make a meaningful change in your lives. If you'd like any additional information, I encourage you to reach out to your planner here at EBW, and we'll be happy to connect you with Candy or perhaps get help you along with your transition. So again, thank you all very much, and I look forward to seeing you all soon.